Ever thought about what happens if your Salesforce data suddenly vanishes or gets compromised? How would your business respond? Would you be able to recover both your Salesforce data and your metadata? In a world where data is nearly as valuable as currency, protecting it isn't just necessary, it's critical, and Rubrik's here to help. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Preston, Technical Marketing Manager here at Rubrik, and today we're going to explore how you can safeguard your Salesforce data with Rubrik Security Cloud. Now that said, before we jump into the demo, let's level set on a few Salesforce protection challenges that Rubrik can help solve for your organization. The first challenge that we see is that while Salesforce definitely lands under IT in the org chart, the various aspects of it are not dispersed across all of the IT sub-teams like they are with other apps. Instead, we see Salesforce admins handling all of the processes that have to deal with Salesforce data, including data protection. After all, they're the experts, and they understand the data better than anyone. Therefore, they're the ones that should be performing these data protection tasks. Being a SaaS company ourselves, Rubrik recognized this very early on and built a powerful SaaS data protection platform with the SaaS application owner in mind. With Rubrik's granular role-based access controls, administrators can easily grant access to their Salesforce admins to manage the entire processes of backup and recovery, while still providing the IT and backup teams with the compliance and audit reports that they need. Now our second challenge is, before we can restore data back to Salesforce, it's often a struggle to determine the exact restore point to recover to. When did changes occur to our data? What data was modified, added, or deleted? Which of my custom objects were affected? All of these are questions that need to be answered in order to avoid having to perform multiple trial by error recoveries, which can lead to undesirable results. Rubrik gleans all of this information out of its time series history of backups, allowing Salesforce administrators to see how their data was changed over a specific time period, pointing out the exact records that have been modified, added, or deleted, and when that alteration occurred. This analysis goes as granular as pointing out the exact columns within a record that have been modified. And finally, any Salesforce admin will tell you simply restoring data back to Salesforce is just not enough. You really need to understand all of the up and downstream impacts that relationships and customizations might have. Salesforce is highly customizable, and each and every organization has its own spider webs of relationships and requirements. With Rubrik, before a recovery is even completed, Salesforce administrators are able to preview exactly what data is being processed and are able to see all of the relationships defined on that data up to 10 levels deep. Once you're happy with the results, it only takes a click and the data goes back into place, including reestablishing all those relationships, reattaching any orphan records, and restoring any deleted records that had occurred downstream. So with that, let's jump into the demo and have a look at how this all works. But before we get too far, I want to mention that you can follow along with everything we're doing here today by consuming our self-guided, interactive, hands-on lab inside Rubrik Explore. Rubrik Explore provides over 30 labs that you can leverage to expand your knowledge of Rubrik Security Cloud and its supported workloads and features. So if you want, go ahead and pause now, head to rubrik.com/explore, fire up the Salesforce lab, and then come back and follow along. So with that, let's jump into the lab. We'll start with onboarding your Salesforce org to Rubrik Security Cloud. Now, onboarding Salesforce to RSC is a very easy task. Simply provide your Salesforce org URL, then provide one-time authentication into your Salesforce cloud. From here, Rubrik will retrieve an access token from Salesforce and use that for subsequent authentications, immediately purging those credentials from memory. Here, we simply select an SLA domain to apply to our org. SLA domains can be configured to take backups at a frequency as low as every 12 hours and can store those backups for any desired length of time. Now, since this is a fully hosted Rubrik solution, meaning Rubrik provides the backup storage, we can also specify in what region we'd like those backups to be located in. Now, finally, we also get the option to specify that a certain percentage of API calls be available before Rubrik begins taking backups. This ensures that backup tasks won't negatively affect any other production integrations that you might have in Salesforce consuming APIs as well. And with that, that's it. Rubrik will immediately begin calling the appropriate APIs and taking backups, adhering to the schedule configured within the SLA domain. There's no further action needed from a customer's point of view. In under 5 minutes, we've basically onboarded and protected our Salesforce org. Alright, with that out of the way, let's now take a look at the recovery process within Rubrik. But before we do that, let's jump into Salesforce for a second. I want to dive into my custom accounts object here, and I'm going to do a search for a record called Chatterbridge. And as you can see, it doesn't exist. Now I know that this record did exist previously, but I'm not sure when that deletion actually took place. To help with reconstructing this data, let's now jump back into Rubrik and have a look at what we have to offer. Now in this case, we know we're restoring the Chatterbridge record. However, often we don't know the exact records and objects that we're going to want to recover. We just know that there's going to be some sort of data discrepancy within our Salesforce org. To help with this, Rubrik provides a feature that lets us analyze our data. Now, after each backup, Rubrik indexes our Salesforce data, and within the Analyze tab here, we're able to view how that data has changed over time, showing us all the records that have been added, modified, and deleted from our Salesforce org. We can see right away that we've had some activity on our Salesforce data, and if we drill into August 10th, we can see that we have a record that was deleted from Salesforce. Now this exact record, in this case, is that Chatterbridge record inside our accounts object. So in less than a minute, we've found a deletion within our Salesforce org, and this eliminates the need of having to restore data over and over and over again just to determine the correct restore point to use. Now on top of this, if you have other custom fields or properties within that record that you want to view, we can easily add them with the filter box here. We understand that not every company uses Salesforce the same, so being able to filter and sort by any column is key in being able to quickly find the data that you're looking for. So from here we have a couple of options. We can select to go ahead and download this data in a CSV file. This is perfect if we need to do any modifications or map our old ID fields to any new ones, or just have a preference of loading this data manually into Salesforce. Or we can recover the data directly from Rubrik Security Cloud. I'll select our record here, and then I'm going to click Restore. Now, since Rubrik understands that the changes were made on August 10th, we can see our list of recoverable snapshots are from the 9th and earlier. Again, no need to hunt for the proper point in time. I'll go ahead and select the latest one here and continue on. Next, we select our environment or the Salesforce org that we would like to restore this data to. And now we can see Rubrik's powerful hierarchy restore functionality. Now, while we can see here on the left, Rubrik already understands all of the relationships that have been created within Salesforce on that record, the root relationships. However, as we mentioned earlier, Salesforce relationships can run pretty deep within an org schema. Rubrik gives us the option to analyze the restore impact across all of these child relationships, up to 10, that's right, 10 levels deep. Now, I happen to know that we only have relationships defined at a depth of 1, but for demo purposes, let me select 3 here and click Analyze. Now, we have a couple of different options. This analysis process has the potential to take up some time. We could, if we wanted, just stay on this screen and wait for it to complete, or as shown here, we can go ahead and exit the recovery, and once the analysis has completed, Rubrik will send us a notification within the Notification Center, allowing us to view the results and continue the recovery. For now though, I'll just wait. Now that said, through the magic of video, we can see our analysis has already completed. So here we can see that our ChatterBridge record actually has some defined relationships within our opportunities object. Now it shows that during this restore, along with the actual ChatterBridge record, 15 opportunity records will also be recovered as they were purged alongside that ChatterBridge deletion. Now let's go ahead and we'll select these child records for recovery as well. And after confirming our restore parameters, the recovery job has now been kicked off. So let's head back to Salesforce and have a look. So we'll do another quick search here for our ChatterBridge record, and voila, there it is. Diving in, looking at the child relationships, we can see the opportunities objects have also been recovered and reconstructed. We've essentially rewound that portion of our Salesforce environment. Rubrik is super excited to deliver this groundbreaking Salesforce protection solution to your organization. Custom tailored to your Salesforce team, Rubrik provides an intuitive platform allowing you to seamlessly protect both your Salesforce data and metadata with confidence, enabling efficient analysis to view changes within your Salesforce environment and providing hierarchy restoration of relationships up to 10 levels deep. With Rubrik, we don't just recover your data, but we also reconstruct any relationships that might have been broken, relink any orphan records, and ensure that any child records that were purged with any data loss event are also recovered, relinked, and are back in place, almost like nothing ever happened. So whether you're a current Rubrik customer looking to expand to our resilient policy-based cyber recovery solution to Salesforce, or you're just looking to get away from the complex and time-consuming process of having to leverage native tools to protect Salesforce, Rubrik has the solution for you. Contact us today for further information or visit the product page at rubrik.com/sfdc for a plethora of resources. Thanks for watching.